Bob Ghannam, Director of Special Projects for the ACC, our guest today on Spotlight. Bob, thanks for coming in. It's always a pleasure sitting down and talking with you.
Thank you for having me on today, Chuck.
The governor recently announced that he wants 50,000 new immigrants in the city of Detroit in the next 5 years.
We welcome them.
A realistic goal?
I really believe that it can be done, and I think it's an excellent time. It's a perfect storm for us to inject the city of Detroit with population. Obviously, as you know, that's a big problem we have with flight to the suburbs.
The governor has gone to Washington. He's also talked about it in his State of the State address. He's taken a number of initiatives to be able to try to make this happen. He's setting up an Office of Immigration. Are these the type of steps that have to be taken for this type of initiative to be successful, whether he meets the numbers or not?
Well, I think it's a positive, first of all, it's a positive move, and anything positive dealing with the city of Detroit is what everyone is looking for. And I believe these are the steps that are necessary. And once we get Washington's ear and they're on board with what he wants to do, which I think is going to happen. I really believe in that.
If you've looked into your crystal ball, do you think the president gets what he wants here?
I'm a forever optimist, and I really believe that this can happen, and I really believe that he can make it happen.
In this congressional session?
Well, it's tough with what he's dealing with, but I think if we look at the urgency that many of our cities around the country are going through right now, and this injection of immigrants that can come in and make a positive point in helping these cities to come back, you know. I think these congressmen need to be remembered what made this country so strong. It was the immigrants that came.
Well, we are a country of immigrants. We're the melting pot.
Yeah.
But attitude has changed some. You now have people not so welcoming of immigration, particularly in some of the border states, whether it's California or it's Texas or it's Arizona, Florida. I think because the economics have changed, and a lot of people feel as though, you know, the pie has gotten smaller, and they're cutting into the pie of a country that I've been in, was born and raised in, and now all these special benefits are coming into immigrants. Surely you face that, and whether you agree or disagree, it's something that's out there.
I was born in this country as well, and I think we all know that whenever economic times are harsh in this country, we're always looking for scapegoats, and I think that's what a lot of the immigrants have gone through this last period of economic downturn. But now with an upswing, I believe, as the economy is starting to come back, as we're seeing, and I think the time is becoming ripe for us for many in this country that were against the immigration surge to this country, to open up and to see that the positive influence they can make to this country, as they have in the past. And we see it every day. We see it every day in the city of Detroit.
Well, you're very involved with the ACC. Talk to me a little bit, for those who aren't familiar with your organization, what does the organization do, and how does it help new immigrants coming into this country?
Our organization is celebrating its 35th anniversary this year. We started out as a one-office social service agency down at the International Institute in downtown Detroit, and the first year we served 421 clients. And that number will always stick in my mind because it just shows that even that first year, that 421, those people were being helped, you know, immigrants were being helped as far back as 35 years ago. Now we serve close to 70,000 clients every year, providing services for them. And a majority of them being immigrants that come to this country that want to be a participant in the positive influence of this country. You know, they're learning English. We help them find jobs. We train them. We help them to assimilate and to become good citizens of this country. Many
of them are well educated in the countries that they're coming over from, but oftentimes when they get to America, they aren't able to assimilate immediately into the level of job that they had in the country that they came from. How frustrating is that, and how do you help someone? I mean, psychologically, that has to be difficult if you've gone through school and you've gotten all the schooling and you're in a great profession making decent salary, and then all of a sudden someone tells you that you have to take something where you can't make the salary that you were making before, and you may feel as demeaning of what you've done.
You know, Chuck, you hit the nail right on the head. many of the clients that we see on a day-to-day basis, the stories will break your hearts. One example that comes to my mind is we had a doctor, a heart surgeon, that was a heart surgeon to one of the kings in the Middle East, had come here, had immigrated here, and obviously could not practice as a heart surgeon here because of certification.
Sure.
And so he took a job as a janitor to feed his family here.
A heart surgeon took a job as a janitor.
Yes, and he did what he had to do to support his family. Now, we took our case that you had just mentioned about certification for many of the people that came that are educated to the governor's office, and one of the points that that the governor and his board are working on is recertification, making it a fast track for many of these educated immigrants that are coming to be able to practice.
We need to get a commercial break in. We'll come back. We'll pick up on that, talk about some of the other things that you're doing to be able to help immigrants coming into the United States. We'll be right back. Don't go away. Bob Ghannam, he's Director of Special Projects for the ACC, our guest today on Spotlight. This particular gentleman was the heart surgeon to King of Morocco. He left. Why did he leave?
Well, he followed his kids that came here for college. He wanted to follow and be here with them. And like any good father, I guess, you want to oversee your kids, make sure they're doing well, and, you know, new country, and he had concerns about his kids coming here.
Yeah. What do you think the chances are that he will be able to eventually practice medicine and be a heart surgeon in this country?
Well, I think at his age, it might be a little tough for him to go through the whole process. But, you know, we see this case happen every day with a lot younger professionals that are coming. So, you know, his case is special to me because
Does he have to go through the entire schooling process again, or just through certain number of tests to make sure that what he learned in Morocco?
Well, from what I understand, they literally have to go through most of what they had to go through at med school.
Wow, and that's a long road to go through.
Yeah, plus with the not having command of the English language is, you know, is a negative for him. He's enrolled in our English classes and things, and he's really trying to do the best he can and, you know, to be a part.
What's the biggest problem that immigrants face when they come into this country?
Well, when the immigrants, most of them that we see that come are so happy, first of all, to be here. Many of them are here because of political strife in the Middle East, persecution, and obviously all the wars that have been going on in the Middle East. That many of them have come here, they're just thankful to be here. And
the largest group that's been coming in, has it been from Syria?
Well, the largest group that we have seen has been from Iraq, from the Iraqi wars, but we're starting to see coming from Syria. We were notified that this coming year, 4,500 more refugees will be coming to the Detroit area. From the federal government told us that we will be receiving that number coming.
What kind of money is in the pool to be able to help them as you deal with the state government, the federal government, and does the money really follow the individual?
Well, that's the irony of it all is when the government does settle refugees in this country, they'll scatter them throughout the country. And what we've recently experienced is we had a group of individuals that had come and were settled in Wichita, Kansas, out of all places.
Okay.
And obviously there, they have no it's not a large Arab American community out there. So many of them made their way back to the Detroit area because of the large group of Middle Easterners.
More of a support system here.
Yeah, support system here. But the problem is the money didn't follow them here as far as support services.
And this is money from the federal government?
From the federal government.
So it really went to Kansas.
Yeah.
And it's not following the individual into Michigan.
Yeah.
And so that burden then falls on organizations like the ACC to raise funds?
You know, our doors are always open, and, you know, it's strained our budgets, but, you know, due to the help of, we have a lot of strong supporters from within the community and from the corporate world that have really helped us in, you know, coming to try to alleviate the financial stress that, you know, we may incur.
What about health care? And I'm hearing that mental health concerns might be a bigger issue than we thought.
It's a lot larger and more severe than I think totally anticipated, and especially those that are coming from Iraq that had experienced war and had seen their relatives killed. We're seeing a lot, especially with the younger kids.
Because they've gone through a lot emotionally. It's not just a physical situation.
Yeah, so it's an ongoing treatment that we have to do with them, and you know, most of the time we're quite successful in helping them, you know, overcome their situation, but it never leaves them.
Yeah.
So,
if the ACC could get the government to change any particular regulations, what would it be?
I guess it would just be to have more of an open door policy. We know, being at the grassroots levels, the benefits that the immigrants can bring to this country. Mm-hmm. And I'll give you an example. If you look around the city of Detroit, you see what the Hispanic community has done to Southwest Detroit. You see what the Arab American community has done in Dearborn. Mm-hmm. I always reflect back on what happened in New York back in around 1975 when they were just ready to declare bankruptcy, and they took on a positive step of settling immigrants and helping them in the city of New York City, in New York. And right now, 40% of the residents of New York City are foreign-born. And you can see how New York City has been flourishing. Mm-hmm. ACC has taken it upon itself. We are currently embarking on a program in the city of Detroit to repopulate the neighborhood of 7 Mile Woodward area.
Right. I know you've been very involved with that for quite some time there. How's that project going?
It's actually, we're working very closely with the state of Michigan and the Housing Authority, and we have big plans for that area there. At last week's meeting, we had learned from the state of Michigan that their idea is to repopulate from 7 Mile down towards the city with the light rail that's coming off of Woodward there. And our neighborhood happens to be the first neighborhood that they're willing to really look at and to help develop. So we're in the midst of a redevelopment, a revitalization, and a renaissance of that neighborhood down there.
Yeah. If you could leave one final message to our elected public servants who have an awful lot to do with laws and regulations as it relates to immigrants and others in this country, what would it be?
Well, my one message would be to those that would fight what the governor is trying to do is go back to your history books and see what made this country great, and see what we have an opportunity right now to revitalize the city of Detroit. And you see helping hands coming from all areas of the city, whether it's Dan Gilbert and what he's doing, the other small organizations around the city of Detroit that are rebuilding the neighborhoods. Let's do it one neighborhood at a time. Let's look and see how the immigrants can be a positive impact to the city of Detroit.
And one final question, if you could send a message to new immigrants who have just come into the country, what would it be?
What we've learned by dealing with the immigrants is they, in many ways, remind us how lucky we are to be in this country. And, you know, it's something that, as being born in this country, maybe we take it for granted, but we learn from these immigrants as much as they're learning from us. But the immigrants, the ones that we deal with, they really want to be a part of the fabric of this country. They really want to be a part of what's going on. And, you know, there's not much we can really tell them. We can be there to support them.
And it's really about both sides being open-minded and welcoming and trying to figure out how do we work together as a country.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. Bob, thanks so much for coming in. It's always a pleasure sitting down and talking with you. We'll put information on the screen so that people want to get in touch with ACC. They know how to do so.
Thank you very much.
All right.